Hello, everyone. Welcome to my show, JHC and Friends. Thanks for joining us today. I'm really excited about my guest today, Leon C. Brunson. There's so much to talk about. We had a brief chat before, and I was already asking about so many questions. I'm like, let's save it for the actual live. Thanks for joining me today and hopping on my humble show.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I like to support anytime we have people creating media. That is like my favorite opportunity. Local people creating media.
For those of you who don't know, he is a professional chef, and he was recently, soon to be, they'll be airing it soon on Hulu on this show called Secret Chef. And he's done all kinds of things that we can talk about in this show today. And I wanted to kind of go back to where he started. I know that you graduated from FSU, and then you also went to culinary school. Give us a brief intro about your background, and then, of course, I'm going to ask you more questions.
So I actually don't have like that classic chef background that most of the chefs here, where they were cooking with their grandma, or I've had a passion to cook since I was young. I was a picky eater until I was probably 20 years old, so like 8 years ago. But my first job was Waffle House, and I love how to cook. Have you ever seen how Waffle House marks their orders? So
Yeah.
like there's a whole code system based upon where they put this condiment on the plate. So to me, that was like the most addicting thing in the world. It felt kind of like a game, assembly of like these orders and the fast-paced rush of restaurants. So come to graduating high school, all my friends was like, I'm gonna be a doctor, I want to be an engineer. And I was like, well, like I don't really know what I like to do. I played saxophone, but I didn't really want to pursue that in a professional manner. So I was like, well, let me see if cooking is something that I can do. And since then, I enrolled in culinary school. But before then, I worked at a restaurant called Firefly in Panama City Beach. And that restaurant, they took such great care of me. They taught me pastry, they taught me catering, they taught me sushi, they taught me to fry, taught me line work, expo. So when I got to culinary school, it was like I was already a trained chef. So that's what got me started. And from that point on, it was just like these strenuous long days of learning how to cook and experimenting with different things and just learning the basics. I didn't even know the basics.
That's awesome. I think you are where you are today because you were willing to learn, and your curiosity just brought you here to, I believe, success, early success. So I know, and I have it here just as a reference because I know I tend to go all over the place with my questions, but you graduated from FSU. You went to culinary school before, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. So like you got a lot of help from that restaurant, and then you went into culinary school?
Yeah, so basically it was 3 months before I enrolled in culinary school that I worked at the restaurant. And I was working in culinary school, working through culinary school. And then sometime about midway through, my dad, he had a brain aneurysm. So he had a full safe recovery. The only difference is now he's like a little physically limited. He makes bad jokes and he's got short-term memory. So he's good. He's good.
Dads typically make bad jokes. That's a good sign.
Yeah, they're even worse now. So at the time, it was very scary. They helicopter flew him to Shands, and they had to have, like emergency brain surgeries on him. And at the time, I was missing so many different family events. I was missing the birth of my niece. I was missing, birthdays. And I was like, if I ever want to be like an actual family man, I don't know if this career is for me. And I was a little curious to find out what had happened with my dad. So I decided to enroll in neuroscience to give myself a career that was sustainable, but also something that would help my family out a little bit more. And I just decided to enroll at Florida State so I could stay close to my family. And I came over here, and then I was working at Florida. I was at Florida State, and I got my job at Cool Beans Cafe, and I had them both simultaneously. So I was working at Cool Beans, and just like Waffle House, Cool Beans felt super addicting. So I wasn't able to like walk away from cooking. So I graduated with a degree, and I was like, well, I think I just love cooking too much. Like I just knew it. But it was scary because you just don't know, like, can I make a career out of this? People were telling me I couldn't.
Yeah. Don't you love it when people say you can't, but then you prove them wrong? But no, it's not the easiest path. It really isn't. So I understand the struggle. I mean, creative background, artist. I mean, I think anyone who creates food is a creative. Like you have a creative background, and even like in our conversation earlier, you talked about like how you dabbled with all kinds of stuff. Didn't you tell me a little bit about how you invested in the equipment to shoot?
Yeah, so essentially, I'm at Cool Beans Cafe. I decided after neuroscience, I was like, I'm gonna go full in on cooking, and I started doing a couple of like independent, gigs. I was doing a catering and cooking classes, but I've always worked with my friend V from high school, and he basically was instilling to me production value, production value, production value, and we worked together.
Oh, being what?
Yeah, it's my guy. That's my guy.
Yes, he did my video. He did my. He's
Him and
so
I.
talented.
Yeah, him and I have been friends since high school. Like we played football together in ninth grade, and now
No
he's
way.
yeah, and he has been like my biggest inspiration because he pays such great attention to detail. His work is great. He's very serious about his craft, and so we've gotten together on 2 projects where he wanted to showcase food and showcase a chef table style video.
I saw that.
Yeah, and that
I
was
think
all
that's where I saw that video. That's awesome.
So we worked together to create that same level of attention to detail when it came to showcasing cooking classes from my apartment, like literally in here. So during the pandemic, I was teaching free cooking classes, but I had a whole production setup. I had multiple camera angles. I had a camera switcher. I had a lav mic. I had it all. And I didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of went into it, and I just wanted to elevate the production of the food that I was showing, because I felt like that was the standard that got the most attention. So it was a crazy process. It was short lived though. I mean, I went from 2 months to like doing those streams and all the cooking classes to all of a sudden Tallahassee is now saying, "Oh, we want you to come to our home." And so I was like, "Oh well, sure,
Yeah.
I can do that." So
I still think like all the investment into that equipment and the time that you learned how to do it, I really think that's what led you to the next phase of your business. And so, like you mentioned, people started hiring you to do private events. Like I'm looking at all the photos, and I'm sure you had video clips here, and it's really cool. Just your story, how it unfolded. Go ahead and mention how like it never was your original idea to do private events. It just kind of happened, right?
yeah, so I actually, after the pandemic had happened, the whole goal was YouTube. I didn't want to be a restaurant owner. I didn't know like what the future of restaurants looked like. All I was seeing was my favorite restaurants were closing down, nationwide. My favorite chefs and my idols were hanging up their apron, calling it a day. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this. Like, restaurants were already pretty tough to run, but now it's not even a shot. So what was sustainable to me was YouTube. I think for the amount of time that you invest and what you get back and the potential return on investment that you would get from a high subscriber YouTube channel, that to me was a no-brainer. Like, just invest in food and a small team and just keep doing it, and eventually you just get to be yourself. So that was the plan, and it was going great until Tallahassee was like, whoa, but I got a birthday party, but I got a celebration. So I actually did not have time for both. I'm coming from a business background. So as I got busier doing more events in people's homes, it took me away from the production side, and then I had to learn the business side of everything. And that was its own hurdle that I had to tackle.
So as you were doing those things, how did this opportunity present itself when you started doing actual TV shows? Because I know, did it like YouTube come up first? And go ahead and
so the timeline's pretty interesting. It kind of went YouTube. It kind of went Twitch first. Now, the only reason I selected Twitch as my platform was because I play a game called Dance Dance Revolution. So it's the arrow game with four panels, and you have to hit your feet according to where the arrows land. I've been playing for 18 years. We just finished our ranking period now, and I finished 7th in the world.
What?
I got a national competition this weekend. Yeah, so
I should have my kids see you. Like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're 7th in the world.
7th in the world, yeah. And then the 2020, I was like 8th. So I've maintained that kind of like top 10 in the world status. But I really want to go more of like that top 4, top 3. So it's just a matter of like continuing to stay in shape and play the game, But Twitch is where I was streaming all this stuff from. So there was this account called Food Beast. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing one of their shirts right now. And they had seen the channel that I was streaming off of. They'd seen I play DDR, and they would see that I was a chef. And they're like, we want this guy to compete. So that was my first media opportunity. And then there was a studio that wanted me for Walmart. They said we needed a young chef that was from the South, that knew how to cook a steak. So I was in a Walmart commercial. Food Beast, they got me back to cook with T-Pain. So I was getting a lot of these opportunities because just through like social media alone. So I didn't actually do too much work in terms of other than just cooking and streaming. So, and it paid off like crazy. Now this one was a interesting competition.
I'm gonna have to watch this and tell the kids like, hey, this guy lives in Tallahassee.
Yeah, that one was crazy, but she was great. I mean, working with I didn't get to cook with T-Pain. I got to cook against them, and I won. But on this show, I'm 4-0 as a coach, and I'm 4-0 as a player, and then 1-0 as a coach.
Oh my gosh!
You rank 7th in the world in. That is Dance Dance Revolution. Dance Revolution.
Oh, Alyssa must have joined us right after you mentioned that. But yes, Dance Dance Revolution. So is there video clips of you competing on your YouTube channel?
Yes, yeah. You could actually go, if you went to youtube.com/Leon C. Brunson /@Leon C. Brunson, since YouTube have the @ handles.
Oh my God.
There's like tons and tons of videos on there of me competing. Even videos from me as a kid. Like if you scroll down just a bit and click like scroll up.
Yeah.
Where it says right there, Clairvoyance 14, that first one would be
one?
Yeah, that's a good one. So, this is in my apartment. Like I had to have my own stream set up in my apartment because there's no arcades in Tallahassee that have this game anymore. So I had to buy my own machine and kind of fix it up and play. But the best part about this game is that a lot of my initial investors into my restaurant, they believed in me because they've been watching me play this game for the last 18 years. And I've, since I was like 11 years old, was playing the game at the arcades, competing with these high schoolers or college kids. So when it came down to it, I'm like, hey, I really need some assistance or, some financial help. They would be like, we've got you. So a lot of the community has actually invested their time into deliverables. The branding that you see on here was from the community. A lot of the information with the streaming. I mean, I've got people who have done so much work for me just because I play this game.
Wow. I love it. That is so awesome. This is so cool. Sorry. And that's really fascinating because some people are skeptical about influencer marketing. And I really feel like that is kind of a form of influencer marketing. You just kind of grew your following. There's a loyal fan base. They really like you and they want to support you. So a lot of businesses are working backwards where they're trying to build that fan base after they built everything else that they are trying to grow. So it's nice that it's working with you where you started your restaurant business after all of these things.
All the biggest projects I started after like everything I had accomplished. So like the restaurant was kind of like the last on the list that I did. So I got the restaurant Leon's at Lake Ella in 2021. Yeah. I tried to get it in 2020, right before the pandemic, but the owner of Cool Beans Cafe, he had it and he sold it the day before I went to go buy it. So I had an angel investor, I had a plan, I had a name. I came to him and I was like, I'm ready to buy your restaurant. He was like, I just sold it yesterday. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even want it. But what happened is the pandemic was a day later. So it actually worked out great for me because I didn't get stuck with the restaurant. And I spent a year building that brand I just mentioned. Yeah. Came back to him in 2021 and was like, I would really like, an opportunity to buy this restaurant. I'm getting busier. I'm doing this catering. And then I got the restaurant in 2021. So then at that point, I just kept doing these private dinners within Tallahassee. Each dinner was intimate. So it was most of them weren't any bigger than 10. And I was just meeting more and more people. They would recommend me. And it wasn't like I was cooking for clients. It really felt like I was cooking for friends. So by the end of it, everyone was like really close with me. And I felt a connection to these people because you're in their home serving and feeding them. And from that point on, I mean, everybody has just not only like the dance game community, but like the Tallahassee community now, they take care of me like crazy. It is like wild to me. It is so crazy.
It's really true. Tallahassee, it's just the most supportive community I've been in it that supports entrepreneurs, businesses, even restaurants. Like Tallahassee foodies, you know, like they came through for a lot of restaurants, and that's how I heard about you too. I'm trying to get her on this show. She said,
I'll buzz her. I'll say, just take a second. You just need to...
We love you. No, but yeah, no, this is awesome. This is exciting. So when are you planning on opening up?
Oh, no, that is the $1 million question. That is, if I unveiled that on this show, I'd have a lot of people on my neck. They'd be like, what? You didn't tell us? So no, there's kind of a couple of things. Like I really enjoy my private dining. I really enjoy the catering. Financially, it makes us a lot of money at a kind of a not as hard of a pace of working. So a lot of my staff members, they love the restaurant field, but we're looking to create something that's more sustainable for restaurant employees, so that it's like your life is entirely dedicated to the restaurant. That being said, there's a couple of quality of life changes that I'm still looking to make at the restaurant. I mean, we've got our floors done, we've got the walls painted, we've got maybe a month left of things that I got to get done, that I want for me personally and my staff. And then we're looking at grand opening. This last month is probably in its busiest stretch with the show coming out. I've got DDR competitions this weekend, and I'm working really, really hard to get a beautiful website that's got photography and as well as a story that can be told to this new audience that's coming my way. So I would probably say no later than August. I mean, we are set. I mean, we are so set. Like all of us, the recipes are there. The staff is there. Like we are set. So it's just a matter of these last couple things together.
That's so exciting. Are you booked out for private events too?
So
or you blocked it out and then, because I am going to have a ribbon cutting. I might get you to cater.
Yeah, we are still open for catering. So
awesome.
It's the biggest thing is dates. And I see down here, you've got leoncbrunson.com kind of floating around. So if for anybody who's interested in the same process, you would essentially go to leoncbrunson.com. And the first thing you see is schedule a call. In my early days of working business, it was kind of difficult to get in contact with people back and forth because events are so different. You know, event planning is just different for everybody. And with me being only one person, I was the only point of communication. Now we've got an additional 3. So you go to that website, you press schedule a call. That call then go straight to our calendar, and then we're able to discuss the event with you. What's your budget? How many people? What date? Dietary restrictions? Do you have any kids? Do you need us to bring the plates? Do you need us to bring any sort of anything? So we try to do as much as you would like in the event, as well as little, depending on what you want. So yeah, we're not booked out yet, but you got a week till that show come out, and we will see that.
Yeah, speaking of the show, okay, so how did that happen? Did you apply? Did they reach out to you?
Social media. And I cannot preach that enough to any person who's listening to this who might want to be a chef in the future. Just use social media, use TikTok. Doesn't matter what it looks like, just use it. Because for me, I thought my social media would never be up to standard to ever be on something like TV. It was just I'm not consistent enough. I don't have the quality. It was just all those things you told yourself. They reached out to me. So it's just a matter of making sure your work is there and apparent. And they have a separate studio that kind of does some talent searching. So it's just be ready. That's all I can say. But yeah, they reached out to me. We did a couple rounds of interviews. And as secret as the show is, the interviews were just a secret. They weren't interested in me until I mentioned DDR. And then everything changed. Everyone knew. The whole meeting, everybody was kind of lean like this. And then I'm like, yeah, and I played Dance Dance Revolution and kind of just got up.
Are you serious?
So tell us a little bit more. So you're competitive is what you're saying? It's yeah.
I love that.
So
they
did get their attention.
They didn't discover you through DDR.
Through Instagram. No, it was just through cooking and Instagram. So I preached everything I did with sustainability, second harvest, my prior food competitions. and I play DDR, and then everything just blew up from there.
That's cool. So, like, I know you can't reveal too much about the show, and I tend to, my thing, and apparently people say this, I tend to draw out a lot of secrets from people, not on purpose. It's just because of my curiosity. So, flag whatever you need to flag. So I'll ask you a couple things. What's your popular dish? And then also about the show, like, what was that like? Because I know in the trailer, we could play it and then you can talk about it. You guys didn't know anything about what the show was going to be about other than the title. Did they even tell you about the title?
Didn't know nothing. No title, no nothing, no nothing. They said,
they're like, you got the job.
Here's your flight. Sign right here. This is how much we're going to pay you. Good luck. And like, to some people, it would kind of be like, it's not for me. But me, I was like, all right, whatever. Like, sounds like a good opportunity. So
no stress at all.
I have to tell a very funny story after it airs about when I first got there. But yeah, essentially I didn't know anything. And with my most popular dish, now it's funny because I'm finding them out. So I've cooked for private clients and things, but like I did a couple pop-ups at the lake, and the most popular dish that we have sold has been our pork belly bao buns.
Ooh.
They're not like your traditional steamed bao buns. We take the bao buns and we deep fry them. So they've got the texture of almost like a pretzels meets like a funnel cake.
Yeah.
But it's neutral in flavor because the actual bao bun doesn't have too much flavor itself. And then you just stuff it with this nice 5-spice smoked pork belly, and you douse it with a little bit of this sweet ponzu, and you serve it with this slaw that's tossed in this light crispy vinaigrette. And you get 2 little buns. That has been our biggest seller, and it was just like unprecedented. It was influenced by a Chinese pitmaster in Houston. So that dish has been great.
Is it so then? Because I haven't seen it, or like is it kind of like show pal but fried, like a regular?
Yes.
Pork
fry? Yeah. But imagine frying the bao separately, pulling it up, and then you open it, and it's got this like nice, soft, doughy, steamy deliciousness that you just stuff a nice, crispy, fat rendered pork belly in, and then you have the sauce on it, top it with sesame seeds and scallions, and then you get this like the flavor of the pork belly, but the crunch of the bao bun. It's awesome. I had to order more palettes because the dish was so sticky, and people were like, "My hands, this is delicious, but my hands." I was like, "I got y'all, don't worry." So that has been number 1. Number 2 has been our she crab soup. Our she crab soup has been unreal. It has been the best. I think that's probably our number 1 dish, I'd say, in terms of like, if people ask you what's a dish that people associate with you, I'd say our she crab soup, and I was influenced by my chef at Firefly.
That's awesome.
Other than that, crab cakes, Japanese curry, quesadillas, those are some of my strongest things. Yeah, there's crab cakes there with Tom Magazine. Alicia Devine, she was a wonderful photographer. That one I actually shot for Tallahassee Foodies.
Such good photos.
And then this was my Cleaver and Cork. Now, this is a great opportunity to talk about how great Cleaver and Cork has been for my career here. One of the things that I didn't really want to do in Tallahassee, I didn't want to stay here because there was no like major chef talents or attractions that were coming in. And in 2020, Cleaver, oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite stories. The other bear with me, but in 2020 they brought Marcus Samuelson. So they brought him, and I really wanted to see him. So I had no money. I was a broke college kid. I spent $300 on this dinner, and everyone at this dinner is like much older than me. I'm walking around. I'm like, don't know anybody. But previously that day, I had met one of the coordinators and helped her out at a store. And she was like, I'm going to hook you up. So from that point, she has got me involved in every single Cleaver and Cork since. I've interviewed Jeffrey Zakarian. I got a chance to meet Michael Simon.
Oh my God.
Teaching cooking classes at the last one, and I had a booth at this previous one. So Cleaver and Cork has been a wonderful event, and all proceeds go to TCC athletes for their scholarships. So you go and you support, you eat great food, but at the same time, they're able to supply scholarships to athletes. So it's one of the best things Tallahassee does. If you don't know about it, it's every March. Please participate in some way, shape, or form if you can. I think that is one of the best events this town has.
Yeah, I think to get a celebrity to come or someone, at that caliber, is not the easiest and not the cheapest.
No, it is not.
Yeah, and so for that kind of event to happen here and to expose our local talent to that caliber is amazing. It's really awesome.
I
didn't even know it.
I want to be the chef there in like 5 years. I want
Yes!
that to be the highlight. Right now, it's like you get the bigger names, but in about 5 years, that'd be me.
Yes, absolutely. You're gonna do it. and the thing is, okay, it's all about this food. I made the mistake of not eating before this because now my stomach is grumbling and I'm super hungry. But I also like, it looks like, I mean, there's so much to talk about, but about the show. But other than you getting a ticket, not knowing what it's going to be about, like maybe I can just pull it up really quick. The trailer.
I'll tell you about the trailer.
Yeah. I think okay. Yeah, they have the trailer here on your IMDb page, and then I still haven't quite figured out like sharing audio. It doesn't quite let me, even though I asked StreamYard to do it. But you can kind of talk about it.
Yeah. So the trailer was interesting because we hadn't seen. This is our first look at the show. Like all of us simultaneously saw it together. So the biggest difference was like the chef voice is different. For us, it was friendly. On the trailer, it was spooky. So that was a big difference. Kind of seeing the low light looks that they did, like this was pretty fun. Now that room gave me so much PTSD. Oh my gosh. So the trailer really showcases like the introduction of like, oh hey, here's what we got going on.
Yeah.
But that room is essentially what would be called our tasting room. Everybody had separate kitchens, as they mentioned. So we actually don't know what dishes people made. We don't know who judged us. And we had to do the confessionals. So at the end of the week, they ask you, hey, what do you think about this dish? David Chang was a big part of this show. Didn't know that. And yeah, $100,000 was our grand prize. So that was the biggest. I mean, that's a huge grand prize in comparison to cooking competitions. So, and here everybody has a secret identity. It's such a different concept.
It is.
It is it's not like your traditional cooking competition.
Yeah.
I just saw that dish. Wow. Oh my god. It's gonna be a show. I actually haven't. That dish I didn't see the first time around. So
it's kind of neat that you're seeing this because, like and I know we didn't mention this earlier, but you said they started shooting last year.
Yes. So we shot this show in June of last year.
Oh my gosh! You kept this a secret for that long.
Yeah. I mean, if you talk to me, I was letting, because at times with the opening of the restaurant, so many people were like, well, when's the restaurant opening? I was like, well, in order to understand that, let me tell you what I've actually got going on that I'm trying to time it with. And they'd be like, what? You were on a cooking competition? I was like, yeah, it'll be out, I think sometime next year. So this has been, I have no like reference to this. I can't call anybody and be like, what can I expect? I don't know if this actually affects business or what it's going to be like. It's just, I know it's going to be very different. And I think for me, my one big goal up to this point was to bring national attention to what it is that I'm doing. Because me personally, I felt like I've got a story to tell and like I've got something to share. I just hadn't had that opportunity yet. So I think that the show will be a good chance for people to like, who is this guy? And then they look and they're like, what? So it could be that, or depending on how they paint me on the show, could be something else.
That is so, I have the lack of like extraordinary words to say this is awesome. And so obviously you can't reveal the results or anything, don't even know what you don't know. So I don't want to like, trick you into saying something kind of like, what is it? What's like the actor's name on Spider-Man? He like leaks information accidentally, even though
Oh, Tom Holland?
Yeah, Tom Holland infamously.
He's talking and he's like, oh, that's
want to go on Tom Holland.
That's probably been me in the past, though, as I'm talking to people something, I'll be like,
Yeah. But I think still being featured on the show is a big deal, especially coming from Tallahassee. I know you're busy, and I don't want to wrap it up just yet, but I'm wondering, like, okay.
Yeah, we got time.
Awesome. Yeah, because I appreciate you also saying there's not a lot of opportunities where you can actually dive in and talk about your story. So that's one of the reasons why I like to feature folks like you, entrepreneurs like you, who just talk about the journey. And it's not easy. Like, and for me, I feel like you're having fun doing all of this. You're like, you don't think best ever.
It's a lot of fun now. I will say at first, now that I know what can be considered fun and what is like considered an inconvenience, I have a lot more fun now. But before it was like I'm doing all these things, but at the same time, like, why am I doing them? Just to do them? So yeah, I'm having fun on the journey. I'm just smarter about it. I'm much more smarter now.
It all seems to be kind of converging and working out, like DDR, YouTube, your social media presence, and then being featured on the show. I'm sure you're going to blow up after this. Like, even, there's been winners on shows like Shark Tank or non-winners on Shark Tank and still blowing up after the fact. So I hope you get so much success out of this, especially with the grand opening. One thing I wanted to ask too is, like, why did you pick Tallahassee? I know you mentioned it's not easy here. There's not a lot of top tier chefs. Chef Shack chose to stay here too, and she also won a competition. So, like, it's not the easiest to maintain a restaurant in a small town like Tallahassee.
I actually think it's way easier in Tallahassee. I think Tallahassee also chose me. I'm not huge on the actual city. Like, I'd much rather be in a different city where I have access to a lot more. But the community here, you can't beat it. So I'll tell you the two big reasons. It's one, community, and two, Sylvia Gold. She's the pastry chef over in Cool Beans. So
yes.
My big dream, and what I do all this for, everything, is I won a James Beard Award. Because to me, that's like the ultimate, like, it's the as far as I can go to justify the hard work that I've done in culinary. And I'm hyper competitive, and I'm entering the stage now that I feel like the next 5 years I can get to that point. That wasn't possible in my head in Northwest Florida until she was nominated for the same award in 2020. So when she was nominated, to me, that showed it didn't matter if you were in Seattle, Chicago, Alabama, Panama City, Tallahassee. It doesn't matter. Your work has to be that outstanding. Sylvia, she didn't do any marketing. She doesn't do social. She barely does any social media. She's not in people's faces about it. She didn't want the award. The quality of her work just got her it.
Wow.
So to me, I'm like, okay, all I have to do is keep working, build my community, just give it to my craft. The award that I want will come. And it's possible here. So I can stay close to my family and kind of continue to build this community and learn more about the city of Tallahassee. And also, I am a board member of Second Harvest. So that, to me, like, even if like I wasn't like big on Tallahassee, Second Harvest and what Second Harvest is doing for the Northwest Florida area, as well as like now even expanding to different service areas, is like nothing I've ever seen before from any other organization. And wow. I'm blessed to be a part of it. So, I mean, that alone is just the biggest other reason. So I can actually see myself participating in making food insecurity in Northwest Florida, like, at least have a better grasp on it and say I tried or I did something to actually affect the people who needed it most. I wasn't just making fancy, expensive meals. Like, I was also cooking and sharing education for the people who really needed it.
Yeah. No, you're such a true inspiration. And thanks, Alyssa. She's been commenting, and I know Daisha hopped on. You got people watching the show, and I'm sure people are going to actually watch the recording after the fact. I wanted to show a few more photos. Like, you give so much back to the community too. And here, let me pull this up. You also do, you also teach.
Yeah! Yes. If you have a kid, please enroll them in the Leroy Collins Library's Gingerbread House competition. I judge it every year. This is year 3. I'm going on year 4, I think. This will be year 3. Year 4. This will be year 4. Okay.
I'm sure same, like, it's great. So I started seeing this on your socials. I was like, oh, I didn't know there's a contest. This is so cool.
Favorite time of the year.
This is great. And yeah, I mean, you do weddings, this is like, seriously, and your website looks great too. So it sounds like you're revamping it.
Actually, this one will stay. We're making another one for the restaurant.
Okay, perfect. So the website, you'll have Leon's at Lake Ella.
Correct.
Okay, cool. I can't wait to see it. Are you like, the grand opening is going to be like a party? What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's going to be a party. I got to do a watch party, and then there'll be a grand opening. So, looks like Daisha said packaging blitz. Thank you, Daisha.
Have you met Daisha yet?
Oh, the second harvest. Seriously.
Daisha's awesome. We used to work together at Domi, and she's a really awesome person to meet now. So I'm glad she'll be there and we get to meet. And I am going to invite all my guests from the past who hopped on the show to my ribbon cutting. So I am going to have a ribbon cutting in August. So I'll figure out how I can get you to cater my ribbon cutting.
Tell me what you want, and we can definitely make it work.
This is awesome. And people who haven't started following Leon yet, to watch him on his DDR journey and learn more about his private events, his catering services, and also what happens on Hulu. Secret
June 29th.
Chef.
June 29th. It's a week from today, so get your Hulu subscription trial in a couple days, and we'll see how it goes.
Serious. And follow him on his journey on opening Leon's at Lake Ella. And just for a parting word, would you like to say anything inspirational for those young people out there who aren't sure, about what they want to do in life?
Oh man, you just gotta keep going. That's my thing. Is like, do not focus on what you've done in the past. Don't focus on don't stress over. Don't give any time or like anything to that stuff in the past. You just got, the more time you can spend in the moment and in the future, you'll be a lot more. You'll be better off. And I wish I had spent more time on that. I wish that someone just told me, like, be more in the moment. I know I was too busy thinking about, oh, what about this? What about that? What about the future? What about what about what I'm currently doing? And if I had just been in the moment and kind of valued a little bit more, I think my last thing would be saying, like, just find out what your values are. I think when I found out that my values were family, cooking, business, and the community, I didn't have to worry about anything else. I wasn't worried about drama. I wasn't worried about, I just poured into those cups, and then that was it. So the rest, takes care of you. So
I think it's the result of your curiosity, willing to learn, great work ethic, and hard work, and even the desire to support your family, be around family. It's just all those values. Part of it is also, I think we don't even know ourselves until we actually try these things. So I love your approach to it all. And thanks so much for hopping on my humble show. I really wish you the best of luck. And of course, we're going to follow up and figure out how you can cater for my ribbon cutting.
Yeah, please do. And have me back when the show airs so I can tell you all about certain
yes
that I can't say now, but
I know we can talk about after the fact.
Yes.
Absolutely. After your grand opening, after the show's all done, because I'm sure you'll be super slammed in the next few months.
I'll have to. It'll be all right.
We need to just have you like do a DDR competition too. Like tell us when you're about to do another tournament, and we.
Oh goodness!
Serious.
Yeah.
Like,
really?
Is there a grand prize for that?
It's some tournaments there are. So most times it's like 50% of the pot, but it basically pays for your travel. So if I get first at this one, I think I walk away with like $600. So it's like it's good work, but I mean, I honestly, there's not too much money in this field.
Yeah.
It's just exercise and bragging rights.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it obviously got you the show.
So, right, and it's
you got DDR.
I had to call my mom. I said, "Mom, if you didn't drop me off at the arcade when I was like 10 years old, we wouldn't be here today." So.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Thanks again, Leon. I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast, and I'll see you on the other side.
You guys take it easy. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.